I'm 81 years old, and I spent 50 years chasing success. I can say that now without shame or pride, only with a kind of quiet understanding that comes when most of your life has already passed. I didn't see it at the time. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was building something that mattered. I grew up thinking that work was the measure of a man. My father worked long hours, came home exhausted, and yet he was proud of it. I wanted that, or at least what I believed it meant: respect, stability, a life that others would envy. I started young. Right out of college, I got a job at a firm that demanded everything and offered just enough. I worked late nights, skipped meals, sometimes even skipped weekends. Friends invited me out. Girlfriends tried to pull me into their world, and I politely declined. There was always a report to finish, a meeting to attend, a deal to close. I told myself it would pay off. It did, in a way. Promotions came, raises came, titles came. But so did the quiet, persistent loneliness. The kind you don't notice at first because it's just a faint hum under the hum of the office air conditioner. I remember missing my brother's wedding because I had a client dinner. I remember calling my mother on her birthday from a taxi, trying to squeeze the conversation into 10 minutes before another meeting. She sounded tired. I thought it was just her age. In my 30s, I had my first home. Big house, nice car, everything the magazines told me I should have. But I rarely saw it. I was always somewhere else, doing something else. My wife, she was a kind woman, patient, who loved me more than I deserved. She began to talk about feeling lonely, and I didn't understand. I thought I was providing. I thought that's what love looked like, giving comfort through material things. But comfort is not the same as presence. The cost was slow. You can't point to one moment and say, "There, I lost it all." It accumulates quietly. The dinners you missed, the phone calls you didn't return, the laughter you never shared because you were tired or stressed. By the time you notice it, the space around you has grown empty, and no one notices how hard you worked except the people who already don't need you anymore. I remember one Christmas, my children were small. I had a big bonus that year, more than I'd ever seen. I bought gifts I thought would impress. I came home late, tired, my briefcase full of papers I hadn't finished. My daughter asked me to play a game with her, just for a few minutes. I said, "Not now, honey. I have work to finish." That was the last time she asked me to play. After that, she stopped. She stopped asking for things I couldn't give her, and I didn't even realize it until decades later, when the room was empty and I was left with quiet and photographs that couldn't speak back. In my 40s, I made partner. I had influence, I had money, I had status, but I had already missed birthdays, anniversaries, school recitals. I would sit at my desk late at night, looking at the city lights, and I didn't even feel proud anymore. It was just routine, a relentless routine that gave me nothing but the illusion of importance. Friends I thought would be there forever drifted away. I didn't notice it because I assumed there would always be more time. There wasn't. The turning point came with my father's death. I had been so caught up in preparing for a big project, trying to secure a deal, that I barely spent time with him in his last weeks. I saw him lying in that hospital bed, frail and silent, and I realized I had missed so many years. And worse, I realized that the years I thought were building a future had stolen my present. My father never said it, but I could see it in his eyes. His disappointment wasn't about money. It wasn't about my title. It was about moments I couldn't give him, the laughter I had postponed, the presence I never offered. After that, nothing was the same.
but nothing could undo what had already passed. My wife left me a few years later. She didn't yell, she didn't scream, she just said quietly, "I can't keep waiting." And she was right. By then, our children were grown, and I had little more than a house full of things and a schedule that still ruled my life. I had to face it. The happiness I thought I was buying with my effort was gone. I had worked to be someone, but I had stopped being someone to those I loved. Now, at 81, I sit in a quiet apartment that is too big for one. I look at the photographs and the trophies and the letters of recognition I accumulated over a lifetime. They don't fill the space inside. They don't warm the cold mornings when I wake up alone. The regrets aren't the dramatic ones. They're the tiny, persistent ones. The missed laughter, the conversations I never had, the hugs I postponed. I think about what I could have done differently. I could have shown up. I could have listened. I could have made mistakes and apologized and been messy and human. But I was always too busy chasing something that, in the end, didn't care about me. I wish I could tell my younger self that it's not the promotions, the paychecks, the office politics that matter. It's the dinners with your family, the quiet evenings with someone who loves you, the small, ordinary moments you think are nothing. That's the life. But my younger self wouldn't have listened. He was convinced there would always be more time, and there never was. Sometimes I hear voices from the past, my father's, my wife's, my children's. I remember their laughter, their complaints, the way they used to fill a room with life, and I can't reach them anymore. Not fully. I can call, I can visit, I can send letters, but the way it once was, that is gone, permanently. That is the part of life no one warns you about, the permanent absence of people you love because you thought the work was more important. If you are willing to listen, I want you to hear this. You won't regret the hours you worked. You won't even notice them as much. You will regret the hours you didn't spend, the conversations you delayed, the embraces you postponed. It is in those small daily choices that your life either fills or empties. And once the years pass, once the children grow and the spouses leave, you can't reclaim it. Not ever. I have learned to accept that, to sit in the quiet and acknowledge that I did what I thought was right, that I did my duty. But acceptance is not joy, it's just recognition. I can still feel warmth when I remember a laugh, a shared meal, a smile, but it comes with a hollow echo, a knowledge that it is all memories now. I sometimes talk to my grandchildren. They ask about my work, and I tell them stories. They listen politely. They are kind, but I know that my life as I lived it will not be the measure they carry forward. They will remember their own lives, shaped more by presence than ambition, and that is as it should be. There are moments when I find gratitude mixed with sorrow. I am grateful that I survived, that I achieved, that I knew ambition and drive. But I am sorrowful that those qualities were the very things that kept me from living fully in the moments that mattered most. It's a strange, heavy mixture, this life I look back on. If this story means something to you, I hope you consider what it feels like to be truly present, not for productivity, not for approval, but simply to be there for those who matter. Don't make the mistake I made, thinking there is always time. Time is the one currency we cannot earn back. I will not pretend that I am at peace. There is no simple peace in realizing your best years were spent elsewhere, but I can sit quietly with it. I can remember, and I can speak, and maybe that is enough. Maybe sharing this truth, with all its weight, is a small way to make my years mean something after all. When my time comes, I will leave quietly, like I have lived, not with applause, not with accolades, not with anything but the lingering thought of what it was like to finally understand too late. And perhaps, in that understanding, there is a faint, solemn consolation that for a moment my truth is heard.
I am 81. I spent 50 years chasing success, and I lost more than I will ever regain.